So finally, let's take a look at using Canva. So we're going to design our same notebook paper with Canva. Canva has both a free and a paid program. You can do a lot with the free program, but the paid gives you a couple extra little perks that you don't really need to create journals. So let's take a look at designing our notebook paper. So I'm going to go up here where it says create a design, and then I want to use custom dimensions. So we were working in inches, and we had a 7 by 10 inch document. So I will say create design. And it will open up in a new tab, and that will actually bring up the app. It does remember all of the designs that you've been working on, so that is a nice feature. It basically auto-saves as you go. I've only had a few instances ever when it crashed or something before a couple of changes had been saved, but usually it was only just a few steps that had been lost, so that's kind of nice that it's auto-saving along the way. So here we have our first page. You've got lots of different options along the side for what you can insert. It gives you a lot of different templates, and if I were to choose, for example, a Pinterest image, it would give me Pinterest templates. If I had decided, on this first page, when it says create a design, if I had said Instagram post, it would give me Instagram templates. If I had said a US letter document, it would give me different types of document templates. So that's kind of nice. It gives you templates based on the type of document that you started. You can also choose from photos. There are different elements. You can insert text, charts, and then the music and videos is pretty new. You can select all different kinds of backgrounds, so it's fun to just play around and see what you can make with this. For now, we are going to go to the elements section because that's where we can find the lines, and there's all sorts of different things. You can have frames that you insert your photos into. There's different shapes and different objects. So the one thing you need to be careful with is the licensing. So really take a look at Canva's licensing. So what I have read, and I've asked them questions, the answer has been that anything in here, and let's just click on to this section, anything that says free on it is free for commercial use. And if you click these little dots, you'll get a little bit more information about that. So anything that is free, you can use this image for personal and commercial use without attribution, subject to the license terms. Okay, anything that has the $ like this, you can pay for a one-time use license. And a one-time use license basically allows you to download it and use it on that particular image. You can re-download it within a certain period of time, but after a while, like if you would come back to it next year and try and re-download it, you may have to pay again. So that's that. It is not for commercial use, the one-time use for $1. You could do it like if you were doing a Pinterest image or maybe a blog post cover or something like that. But for something that you're going to sell, then the one-time use for $1 is not sufficient. You have to get their extended license, which costs more. So do, dive, if you're using any of their elements, do carefully look at the license and make sure that what you're using is okay for you to use. So we're going to stick to elements that say free because we know we can use them commercially. So I'm grabbing the line here and I am dragging it over, and you can see that by default it is very, very thick. And so I'm just going to kind of do a search through here and just show you that there are lots of different lines in there. The first several have free, but then we starting to get to crazier and crazier looking lines and more decorative, which can be fun if you are doing, maybe like a doodle book. That would be some nice options in here. But for just a straight line, this is really the only plain straight line we've got. So we need to figure out how we can make this look more like notebook paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. So up here is the color square. I just click on it and it'll bring up a menu. If I want to choose my color, I choose this kind of gradient looking thing, but it's already giving me some default options, and I think this gray would be good enough. So the next limitation we have is we need to get this skinnier. Now there are handles that allow you to make it wider and shorter, so that's nice. There are no handles in this direction though, and I swear there used to be, and I feel like they've gone away. So what we need to do is we need to grab one of the corners and basically shrink it proportionally using those corners. And then now we're having trouble finding that horizontal handle, so we need to go down to the bottom right and zoom in quite a bit. So I zoomed in to 200%, I think that should do it, and now I can find those horizontal handles and drag it out. So I'm going to grab these corner handles and try and constrain it proportionally again too, and just see how thin we can get it. So now our height is down to 0. And so I want to show you real quick, I did a little Google search. We've been using a 1/2 point in our other documents, in the other demos we did. So a 1/2 point is 0.0069 inches. So we really want it to be somewhere in that 0 to 0.1 range on Canva in order to be the correct thickness. And so I will probably have to zoom in even more to try and find that horizontal handle. And I'm not even sure I'm going to get it this thin. I might need to widen it a little bit and a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so that was about as thin as we could make it and still be able to stretch it back out. And so I'm going to just scooch over using this line down here, find that horizontal handle again, and drag it to the end of the page. Make sure we're all the way to the end on both sides, and now I can go back down to 100%. Okay, so now I've got my first line. I can just pick it up and drag it up. It's giving me some center guides, so that's nice. And now I'm going to go up here to duplicate, and I'm just going to press duplicate a few times, and that will give us 4. So let's grab all of these and go to position, and let's left justify it, and there we go. So now I believe that this is just a little too close together. So let's grab this one, move it down just a little bit, and then let's grab all of these and just see what happens if we go to position vertically, and just eyeballing it, that looks a little bit better to me. So I'm going to roll with that. We don't have anything that gives us the spacing in numbers in between us. There's no ruler guides. It's not, as I move it, popping up with any sort of box telling me how far apart they are. So that is a limitation. So let's just redistribute those vertically. Now I'm going to grab all of these and copy and paste, and I find it just a little bit helpful to group them all together so that when I'm moving the pasted versions around, they don't separate. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but now I've got them all grouped together, so I can duplicate all 4, move them into approximate position here, and we'll duplicate those a couple more times and move those down too. And we'll get them approximately right. And then now that we've got about a 1/2 page's worth, let's go ahead and just ungroup each one of them. Just click on it and select ungroup. And then let's drag our mouse, holding the left key, the left mouse button to select all of them. And let's just re-space them. And I'm just going to center them too so that they are all even. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's just try copying and pasting. Let's duplicate, and yeah, it's letting me drag the whole group, so that worked good that time. We need a couple more lines, so let's grab a few more, duplicate that, and move those down. And so now what we need to do is select all of them again, and position, vertical, and I'm going to use the center justification again too, just to make sure that they're all centered on the page. And now we have our notebook paper. Let me just zoom out a little bit so that you can see it. So there we go. So what are the limitations with Canva? Well, as you saw, it was a little bit trickier to get precise spacing, not spices, correct spacing on them. We don't know exactly how far these are apart until we print it out and take a ruler to it, really. We also don't know exactly what the point value or the weight of this line is. We had to do some manipulation to get it correct. You have to be careful about the licensing when you use their elements. You are able to upload your own images and elements, so if you have a license for something, a graphic from somewhere else, you can upload it and place it into here, so that is a workaround. There has been in the past a limitation of 30 pages per document, and I am not sure if that has been lifted now to 100 on the free program or free version or not. I could not find a definitive answer on that, but just be aware that you may be limited to 30 pages per document. So what you will have to do is use a different PDF program such as Adobe Acrobat or something that you find online in order to combine multiple PDFs together. So you'll have to create separate documents, download them all, and then stitch them together in a separate program. To publish, it's pretty easy. You just go up here to publish, hit download, and then under file type, we will switch to PDF print, which gives you a high quality print document, and then you'll just select download. So that is pretty straightforward. So what I think Canva is good for is if you are just starting out to kind of experiment with your design skills and kind of hone your chops, so to speak. I also think it can be possibly nice to just kind of mess around with their elements in order to mock up what you might want to create in a different program. So it's very easy to use. So if you just want to create kind of a mock-up of the design that you want to make, then you can take that and use it as a template for creating in a more professional software after that. So that's another suggestion for how you can use Canva. So hopefully that is helpful. So that's the main design options you have. We are going to move on to actually publishing your book next.